No idea what I'm doing. I have no idea if this is going to work or not, but I've had some friends recently say that they'd really love an opportunity to learn more about meditation, the kind of meditation that I do, why I do meditation. So I said, okay, I will try to do a Facebook Live and see if it works, see if, it helps anybody and shares, what I've learned over the last 4 years of meditating, share what the type of meditation is that I do, and give you a little quick kind of intro to the practice. So we'll take a few minutes and let some people join. I posted earlier that I was going to do this, and if you want to put some questions in, I'm not going to answer them now, but if you put questions in later, once I'm done with this, I'll answer whatever questions you have, either about meditation in general or the specific techniques that I do. So background for me, I first tried meditation about 5 years ago. I was having, maybe like 6 years ago, I was having anxiety attacks, and I went to a doctor and he said, you should try meditating. Well, first he said, do you ever do nothing? And I was like, what do you mean? Like listen to music? And he was like, no, do you ever do nothing? And I was like, definitely not. There's never a time when I do nothing. And he said, well, I want you to like buy an eye pillow and for 15 minutes a day, lay down and put the eye pillow on and literally do nothing. And I was like, all right, but I did it and it was awesome. But that's not really meditation, but at least it's like the start of meditation. So that was cool, but I didn't really stick with it. And then I started practicing yoga and I learned more about meditation and I decided to try it, and I went to a meditation class and it was hell. Like literally I sat there and they wanted us to sit for 20 minutes in silence. And I remember just kind of like freaking out, being like, is everyone else as miserable right now as I am? And it was just like, there was no question that meditation wasn't for me. I knew that it was great for some people, but meditation was not for me. So that was my opinion after a few attempts at meditation. And then I went to yoga school at Ishta about 4 years ago now. And they taught us to teach meditation. And since they were teaching us to teach meditation, we had to actually meditate. And for the first time, they made us sit and meditate, and they broke it up in a way that like, it was like 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and they had us write down what we experienced and how we felt. And it was like the first time that I was like, oh my gosh, there's something magical to this. So those first couple times when I meditated in smaller blocks, I started to experience, some magic, some inner spaciousness, some light, some stuff that was like, there's something to this, and I'm gonna stick with this. I'm gonna practice it and try it. So at Ishta we learned some simple techniques that some of them they call kriyas, but there's some basic techniques, and I'll do a variation of one tonight once we get there. But people always ask me, like, why do you meditate? Like, what's the difference? What do you experience now that you didn't experience before you meditated? And I love the analogy of being in a movie theater, and if you imagine your whole life, you're in the front row of the movie theater, right? So like the screen's right there, and it's like loud, and it's bright, and it's intense, and like the movie is like powerful, and there's like intense, scary scenes and sad scenes and all kinds of like intense stuff, and you're in the front row. And you don't realize that you actually have the option of dimming the light of the movie theater, the screen of the movie, and going to the back of the movie theater and just kind of sitting and like taking a break from the intensity of the movie. That there is this option of like being like, no, I'm going to go back here and chill for a little bit. The movie will be fine. I don't need to be up there. And you can go back there, and there's all this spaciousness where you don't need to be like glued in to every high, every low, and all the stress of whatever is going on in your life. And so meditation is that spaciousness where you suddenly have this buffer in your life where in some ways you can kind of stop time, or instead of kind of reacting in the moment, you have the space and the graciousness to respond. So that's the biggest thing, and I've got tons of examples of things that like were really specific, like, with my husband, where there'd be times when, I'd start to get angry about something, and I would realize inside that I was kind of having that reaction, and for the first time I could kind of look at it and be like, wait, why am I getting so worked up about this? And I could see that it was like something I was dealing with, it wasn't something he did, and I was able to diffuse it, and instead of being angry with him, I was able to kind of deal with my own stuff. And that never happened before meditation. Like before I meditated, I don't know how many people have known me for a long time, but I've always been a pretty intense person. So before meditation, I didn't have that graciousness. I was not a particularly graceful or gracious person. And I really feel like that's what meditation has given me, that kind of space to be gracious, or try to be more gracious. That's certainly what I aspire to be. But yeah, so to explain a little bit more about meditation, so a lot of people probably know the term mindfulness. It's like all the rage now. And so mindfulness is kind of paying attention to your attention. And the joke is you're not really paying attention unless you're paying attention to your attention. Obviously that sounds ridiculous, but the whole point is being aware of what you're paying attention to. And that's mindfulness. So we're being mindful if we're aware what we're paying attention to. And we have a lot of options, obviously, like an infinite number of options of what to pay attention to. We can pay attention to our thoughts. We can pay attention to our five senses, like we can pay attention to what we're seeing or what we're hearing, what we're feeling. We could pay attention to what we're feeling inside, like feeling our emotional kind of being, our emotional states. We could pay attention to our breath. We can pay attention to the sky. I mean, we can pay attention to anything. Most of the time, we're on autopilot, and we're not in control of our attention. Our attention just kind of bouncing around at like shiny object, shiny object. And so we don't have kind of that power. It doesn't feel like we have the power. And so mindfulness is when we start to reclaim that power of our attention. And it really is magic, because if you think about it, this is an analogy, actually I teach this at my kids' school, and I give the kids flashlights, and the flashlight is kind of the analogy for our power of attention. And I'm like, if you go around the room and you shine the flashlight on different things, it really changes your experience of the room. Like we took the lights out and the kids all kind of freak out at first, but the whole point is, depending on what we pay attention to, our experience of life really changes. So if we're paying attention to beautiful things, and we're paying attention to people that are kind, and we're paying attention to magic, and there's always blessings, always magic going on around us. If that's what we choose to pay attention to all day, we're gonna have a great day. If instead we're like seeking out and looking for and paying attention to, people being cranky, or people being unkind, people being inconsiderate, things that are unfair, we're gonna have a really lousy day. So that's kind of the power of our attention. And the first part of mindfulness is just kind of practicing that. So you'll hear a lot about mindfulness practices where you can go through the park and take a walk through the park, a walking meditation, mindfulness meditation, where you just kind of feel how it feels to walk, and you just kind of start to control your attention. That's like the first level of mindfulness and meditation. The kind of meditation that I do, and the kind of meditation that has really been transformative. I mean, mindfulness in and of itself is transformative, but going into a deeper state of meditation is what makes it easier to be mindful, because it's hard to be mindful. And so you can try to practice it, but like it's hard to practice. But if you sit and you go deeper in a meditative state, that's going to facilitate your ability to be mindful as you go about your day. So the kind of meditation that I practice, there's kind of like 3 or 4 stages of it. And the first step is called pratyahara, and that's the withdrawal of your senses. So instead of paying attention to, or withdrawal of your attention from your senses, but instead of paying attention to everything that's going on outside your 5 senses, you withdraw your attention and you start to pay attention to what's inside you. So you can pay attention to your breath. You can pay attention to kind of your inner energy and how you're feeling in your body. You can pay attention inside your body. But the point is, you stop paying attention kind of to the external world, and you start paying attention to your internal world, because there is this huge internal space that if we start to focus on, it starts to open up, and there's a lot of space in there, which is awesome, because sometimes life gets stressful and we feel really trapped and we feel like we don't have space to move and maneuver. And there's actually an infinite amount of space inside of ourselves once we start going in there and letting it open up. So that's the first step, is kind of withdrawing your attention to inside. The second step is focused attention. So you're going to concentrate your effort on keeping your attention on one point. In the beginning, this is really hard, because our brain is like a puppy. And there's 2 really good analogies. One is like a puppy with a wee-wee pad. I don't know if you've ever had a puppy, but training a puppy to go to the bathroom on the wee-wee pad is frustrating as all get out. And the poor puppy is so cute and doesn't realize that you're trying to teach it to stay on the pad. And there's a million things that the puppy is going to see that is super exciting, and the puppy keeps going and keeps going and keeps going, and you keep having to take the puppy and bring them back to the wee-wee pad. Hopefully you don't beat the puppy, you don't yell at the puppy, you just gently keep bringing the puppy back to the wee-wee pad. And that's kind of the same thing with our attention in the beginning when we're learning to meditate or practicing meditation. It's all about keep taking our attention back. Your brain is not going to shut up in the beginning. Your brain has been doing this for however old you are. Your brain loves to do its thing. My other analogy for our brain is like your brain is like a Labrador retriever that you unfortunately have been feeding table scraps for your entire life. So imagine you had a dog, and from the time the dog was a puppy, it was sitting at the table and you kept giving it table scraps. If you suddenly said, no, I'm not going to give you any more table scraps, is that dog going to like just suddenly lay down and ignore you? No, that dog is going to stay right by that freaking table. And depending on how intense your dog is, like we all know different dogs. Like some dogs are like freaking pit bulls, or not pit bulls because that means meat, but you know what I mean? Like dogs that are super intense versus dogs that are really laid back. If you have like a dog that's really intense, that dog is going to probably spend the next 2 years still at the freaking table trying to get more table scraps. It's not like it's going to suddenly go lay down. And that's definitely how my brain was. Oh, Jessie woke up. Jessie, can you go back to bed and I'll come in a minute? Because I'm doing a live screen for, here, climb in that bed. Okay. Jessie's going to listen. Anyway, so the point is your brain isn't going to suddenly be quiet. And so when you first start to meditate, the practice is about your attention, and you just kind of ignore the dog, you ignore the puppy. And so over time, as you practice, keep taking your attention back, the puppy, which is your brain, will become better and better and better behaved. But in the beginning, just ignore the puppy. And you're going to catch yourself following thoughts, because the thoughts are going to come. So when the thoughts come, if you catch yourself following a thought, that's cool, just like the puppy back to the wee-wee pad. Just keep bringing your attention back. As soon as you realize that your brain has wandered and you're following a thought, that's cool. Just bring it back to whatever you're focused on, okay? Sweetie Pie, why don't you just go climb in back of bed, okay? And I'll be there in a minute. Live video, yay! Anyways, so we're going to practice meditation. And in the beginning, as I said, it's hard to focus your attention. And when you catch yourself following a thought, it's totally fine. Just come back. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit and we're going to close our eyes. And when we close our eyes, we want to be just in a comfortable position. And we want to try to have our back straight. And we can be either in a chair with our back supported by a chair. We can be up against a wall. We can be, crisscross applesauce, or we can have our feet flat. However you're comfortable. You just want to be in a comfortable place. So you're going to close your eyes and you're going to bring your attention inward. And as you bring your attention inward, you want to just start to feel the space inside of you open up. And as the space inside of you starts to open up with your breath, you can start to bring your attention up to the top of your head. So the top of your head is the fontanelle. When we were babies, the top of our head was soft. But now it's closed, but it's still a pretty special spot. So we want to bring our attention up to the fontanelle and just sit and keep our attention there as best as we can. And as thoughts come, we can just let them go and keep our attention on the top of our head. As you settle in to your body and feel what your inner space feels like, you want to try to start to relax, start to let go, start to settle in. And there's a loosening, there's a softness that starts to occur. And you may start to see light, you may start to see pulsation. You just want to keep your attention at the top of your head. That's the crown chakra. Next, we're going to bring our attention down to the spot right in between our eyebrows, the center of our brain. That's the sixth chakra, ajna, our third eye. And just bring your attention there. Imagine a light shining in the center of your brain. And imagine that light softening, traveling down to the center of your throat, your communication center. And imagine a light in the center of your throat. And then imagine that light traveling down to your heart center, and that light glowing in the center of your heart. Bright, glowing in the center of your heart, opening and shining. And then imagine the light traveling down to your solar plexus, just above your belly button. It's your fire center, center of your self-esteem. Imagine that glowing red, warm, and bright. And imagine a light traveling down the center of your abdomen, the second chakra, the water center, flowing and glowing. Then imagine the light traveling down to the base of your spine. It's the wealth center, center of spiritual and physical wealth. It's the earth center, it roots you to everything in this world. Your first experience is in this body. And imagine the light traveling back up to the center of your abdominal cavity, the water center, glowing there again. Bright, open, spacious. And the light traveling up again, just above your belly button to the solar plexus, your fire center, glowing bright with each breath, glowing, opening. And traveling up the center of your heart, again glowing bright, opening the space inside of your heart, allowing love to flow. Then moving up to your throat center, your center of communication. Again, glowing, opening, flowing. Then back up to your third eye, Ajna, your control center, center of wisdom and knowing. So imagine a light in the middle of your brain, glowing bright. And then the light returning back to the top of your head, the fontanelle. You see it pulsing, see a light. Might feel like a vibration or a rocking. Feel that light flowing and glowing. It could be soft, it could be smoky, white light. Sometimes it feels like a waterfall to me. And then let your attention come up above your head, maybe 4 inches above your head. And take a few breaths imagining that light above your head, glowing bright. Resetting everything from your day. Resetting everything for your day tomorrow. You can imagine the light kind of settle back down, slowly going back down your spine and resting back at the base of your spine. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back to the room. And just notice how you feel. Notice if your energy feels different. One of the things about meditation is that it puts us into our parasympathetic nervous system, our rest and digest. So there's no incorrect way to meditate. No matter how much our mind continues, how successful or unsuccessful our brain may want to judge our meditation, it doesn't matter. Practice always makes progress, and the practice in and of itself will reset and refresh and relax you, regardless of how deep you go, regardless of how long you stay in a meditative state. And the thing that I've learned about meditation is the longer that you go into a deeper state, so the longer and the deeper that you go, the more transformative the practice is. So meditation of all kinds is wonderful. Running is meditative. Watching the sunset is meditative. Looking at a fire is meditative. There's a lot of different ways to kind of meditate. But going into a deeper state where we can get really into a deeper, clearer place of who we really are and connect with who we really are, or what we really are, on a deeper level, the more it will transform our lives on a day-to-day basis. So that's a really quick intro. Would have been a little bit longer and a little bit deeper if I didn't have a little guy in bed over there. But I thank you guys so much for listening, and I welcome all questions. I love, love, love meditation. And as I said, if you knew me before I meditated versus knowing me now, I'm just humbled and grateful by how much it has changed my life and allowed me to be more present and more loving, a better mom, a better wife, a better friend, a better partner in all ways. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch and listen, and I welcome all questions, and feel free to reach out anytime. And if you haven't visited my new website, goldevolution.com, you can go there and sign up for my emails, and I'm writing a book, which is really exciting, called Find More Strength. So all really good things, and I'm grateful for all of your love and support. Thank you so much, and have a great night.